floor delivery. Well, I call that length pretty good. First beam cut, half the rim joists in. It's going great. All right, it's now about 8:30 on Saturday morning. You see how far I got yesterday. It got too dark to actually video last night. It was about 5:30 when I quit. It was pretty dark. So we got third of the joists in, one row of plywood in, most of the rim joists in, and I should almost be able to finish this today. So I set a time lapse up on my big camera over here, and let's go. All right, one lesson learned, two lessons learned. Number one, don't nail down the tongue until the groove is seated, because now this is too tight. And secondly, don't force it. Just get a bigger hammer. All right, so here we are with the first third of the floor all down. And so I'm going to use this, I put this part of the deck down because I'm going to use it for workspace now to fit the rest of the joists. They all have to be cut down a little bit, and I've got one that's already cut that's like my template, and I can just mark all the rest of them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a stop block on the end down here, and then I can slide the joists in, put the template down down that edge, slide the joists in, mark them against that template, and cut it. One thing that makes woodworking in general and carpentry specifically go a lot faster is especially if you have to do repetitive stuff, don't measure it with a tape measure. Measure the first one, get it perfect, and use it as a template and cut everything else to that size, because it's way faster than looking at numbers. Alright, so all I did was basically screw a stop block to the rim joist on the other end, and as we come down here and zoom out so you can see what we're looking at here. That's the difference between the 20-foot joist and the joist that actually fits between the rim joists, because this is exactly 20 feet wide, and the rim joists are 1 1/8 inches, so that's basically 2 1/4. But that's the actual size that actually fits, and I don't have to worry about measuring it again because I know that one's right. And cut all these to the same size, and fill in the rest of the floor. So that's my next task, is put them all up here and one at a time and cut them off and stage them to get put in. Now that's a very satisfying sight right there. All the joists are in, all the rim joists are in. Everything's straight, level, and square. Time for the rest of the subfloor, because I've only got about a third of it in. I might get this done today. So here's what happens when you assume things. I assume these panels are 48 inches, edge to edge. They are not. They are 47 and a half. What that means is I'm counting on these to be exactly 4 feet, and by the time I get to this point in the floor, all of a sudden these are exactly 16 on center, but because I did these laterally, like this way, instead of across the beams, now I'm screwed. I got to figure out how to make this fit. I'm measuring this, right? And I come from here, and I look, and I'm 48 on the middle. I come down to here, right? And I'm 96 to the middle. I'm like, what the heck? I know this is exactly 24 feet and 0 inches. It is exactly 24. Now I'm screwed. Now I got to figure out how to patch around a 1 inch, over a 1 inch gap by the time I get out to the end. That frickin' sucks. So my solution to this is to rip up that piece, 4x4 piece that I just put down, break it across the middle of this beam, break it across the middle of this beam. That's going to leave me a gap in here, but I'll fill it with something, and then I'll just start the rest of them going that way, which I should have done, I guess, in the beginning, but making assumptions that a 4x8 sheet of plywood is a 4x8 sheet of plywood. Modern bullshit. It's really annoying. 2x4s are 1.5 inches by 3.5. But a 48 inch piece of plywood should be 48 inches, not 47.5. God. All right, so welcome to Monday morning. Kind of really didn't do much on Sunday, except prep some stuff. So here's how I'm solving this flooring dilemma. The rest of the boards are going to run this way. That's going to leave me about a 2-inch gap down the other end. I'm going to cut some pieces of 2x4, screw them to that rim joist, and then take some extra pieces of the rim joist, which you can see in the pile over there probably somewhere, and put them on the outside, because the 1 inch plus 1.5 inches is only going to be about slightly over 2.5, and that's where I estimate my gap will be. So I'm going to put another piece of the rim joist out here. That'll give me plenty to land on, and then I actually have a half sheet of flooring in the pile of stuff I have in the garage, so I'll cut that in strips and nail it on the outside. But for this, the plywood's going to go right to the outside of this rim joist. But the first thing I need to do is drill a hole for this guy, which is the pipe going up from my sump. Alright, that's the first job done. I got it tied up here with a nail and a bit of twine, just a little bit of strain relief. And it runs down to a couple of rocks, so that there's a little bit of a kick when this motor starts, pump starts, and don't want it to thrash all around. And I actually had it spraying on that big rock so that it didn't dig a hole in the mud. Did a little bit of that anyway. Anyhow, next step, rest of the deck. Here we're cleaning up the gap between the middle of the floor. I cut the tongue off of this, and then this is a factory edge. So we're just cutting a piece of 1 1/8 inch here and gluing it down and nailing it in. So here's the other fix that we did. We ended up with only just about the same width as the rim joist, which is 1 1/8 inch. So I cut a straight line down there, 1 1/8 inch, and that's what we put on the end. And these are all glued in and nailed as well. So that completes the floor. Super exciting. Roof trusses are on order, and the wall materials are all on order. Should be here in the next day or so. So here's a look down the basement. I have a basement. This house has never had a real basement. Let the camera adjust a little bit. This, of course, it echoes a lot, but it has a nice echo. You could play guitar down here; it'd be kind of fun. It's deceptive how tall this is. I'm 6'4", and this is right here, so it's kind of interesting. See it from the other end of the room, it doesn't look that high, but when some human stands over here next to it, it's really tall. Did it do a perfect job? No, but certainly good enough. A fair amount of light comes in that door. That's good. That's one of the reasons I'm gonna make that door glass.